Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Medium's Table. I'm your host, Michelle Gardner. This podcast is your personal invitation to join me at the intersection of the everyday and the extraordinary. Together, we'll explore the magic of mediumship, share spiritual stories, and connect with fellow mediums on this incredible journey. So grab a seat, pour yourself a cuppa, and come join us at the Medium's Table, where spirits gather and stories unfold. Disclaimer, just a heads up to all our lovely followers. Our social media is a space where we share personal stories, including those of various mediums. Let's keep the vibe positive and respect each other's beliefs. Every journey is unique, and here we celebrate the diversity of experiences. I'd like to welcome back to the show, beautiful soul, spiritual healer, medium, spiritual therapist, and teacher, and also renowned author, Karen. Welcome back to the show, Karen.
Hey, it's nice to be back. Can't wait to share this stuff.
Yeah, I know. There's always something exciting when you're back on the show. What do you have for us today?
Well, today I have my book called Little Karen and the Egyptian Priestess. It's about how my higher self healed my childhood. And that's little Karen right there.
Yeah.
And there's the priestess. So we're going to be talking about how little Karen and the priestess go on some cool adventures and have a great old time. And little Karen grows up and becomes a priestess herself.
Wow. Sounds exciting. Go ahead, because I really want to hear this story.
Well, I have the negative past. And I did want to say that in my life, I've been really given what I need to survive. And this book talks a little bit about my childhood and all the things that I can share as ways in which you can deal with life and my life lessons. So this talks about my childhood. It also talks about my life lessons. But the most important thing is that while I was being abused, I wasn't nowhere. I was in Egypt. So every time I would be getting hurt, I would fly away to Egypt and I would go talk to this priestess. And she was beautiful. She had dark hair, dark eyes. She was really a sacred soul. And she told me, when I first met her, and this is all in my mind, but I'll tell you after that, but it's in my mind. But I saw her and she had on a beautiful gown and she had like one of these, I guess, not a sword, but like something that she could hold, and it had a crystal on top. And she told me that men sometimes use weapons, but she didn't use weapons. She used the crystals. She used her ability to tap into the crystal world and to have women also be part of a very spiritual ceremony. And what happened is the women would be in the temple along with the high priestess, the high priests. So she would be, her temple was Isis. So she renowned Isis. And so she would go to the temple. She would do sacred ceremonies, and women were there. And she told me that in Egypt, women have a lot of power, and that she doesn't use her power for bad. She uses her power for Egypt, to worship it, to love it, to preserve it, and basically to live in harmony with the other people. Now, I didn't think that Egypt had that much women's power, but she was trying to teach me that women can use power that they have in a positive and safe way, not in a way where they're trying to hurt or abuse people, but in a way that's helpful and healthy. And so for me, I would really, and she would say, if you get hurt or something's bothering you, you come to me. So every time I was being hurt, I would go to her. One time she told me to take all my sadness and throw it into the Nile. And I would throw it into the Nile and I would feel better. She taught me how to be a priestess in training. She taught me that I could be a good person, that I can love people, and that she made it possible. She introduced me to other people who could, in that community, were very loving and kind too. So while I was being hurt, at the same time, I was being helped. So I know that when I was in the health club and I wanted to visualize something positive, I would pretend that I'm seeing the priestess and I'm, doing the bike and the priestess is across the room. And so I would just visualize this priestess everywhere I would go. And it wasn't something that was taught to me in a book. It was taught to me in my mind, which also told me that Egypt is a very special place. And I wanted to know more about it. And so it gave me an opening to what is happening in that place. So I'm watching TV years later, and I see this program on Egypt. And it talked about the very thing that I got explained to me, that there were women and that they were in the temple and they were helped. They were, what do they call them? Priestess and wives, like priest. So that the priest had wives as well, or they played that role. And I just said, this is true. This is not a lie. What I got taught, that's truth. It's not a lie. And so I was like, this is for real. And so I'm thinking, I was on a journey. I was in Egypt, but I was really can't figure out how I got there. And when I first met her, she was in a tomb. And I said, oh, I don't want to go in there. And I was like, I heard a voice and it said, it's okay to come. And I'm like, why are you talking to me, through my mind? And I said, I'm afraid. And I was terrified. And then I was like, it was dark. And then I went down there and then I thought she was dead, but she was sleeping. She was sleeping and she woke up and she said, this is me. I'm going to help you. And I was like, oh, so I faced my fear of being in the tomb alone. And then years later, somebody told me that at some temples, they sleep on the tombs. People sleep on the tombs and they're alive and they're tourists. So I'm like, I know a lot about Egypt for never being there. And my next book was going to be Little Karen and the Priestess Adventures in Egypt. So that's my goal one day, is to go to Egypt and to really see what's there. But this is about Egypt, and it's about all the things that I did to feel happy and healthy. And my higher self is the part of me that's connected to God. And the higher self came out one day a couple of years ago, and I had never had her come out. But I was at a conference, and all of a sudden I started talking in a different way. And I tried to reach like where it was coming from, but I couldn't because it was too high up. And it was all positive, good things. But the priestess is a very positive role model. And she taught me a whole bunch about how to treat people and how to be in political situations and how do people enjoy the temples and how the people come, and she would talk to them. And it was just a lovely opportunity to know that I was being helped and that I had this fantastic, out of this world experience that I never experienced physically. So then the metaphysics started to come in about what is this spirituality and how deep does it go? And I think it goes a long way with a lot of people. And I know that little Karen will always be happy that she went and that she has a happy life. In fact, the cover is what I have up in my office. Somebody painted it for me. And so I look at her every day and I look at the priestess and I said that may be one story, but that is one terrific story. And it teaches me that there's something more than what we're just seeing.
So at what point did you ever stop hearing the priestess? Was that just a period of time, or like what happened there?
Well, the priestess is me. I'm the priestess. My higher self is the priestess. And I was talking to myself. And as I was growing, the priestess got less and Karen got more. And so I'm the beautiful priestess. And we are all the priestess. We all have our higher self that knows things that we don't know. And so for the higher self to say, hi, I became the priestess and I got initiated into the priestess role, and I am able to live it and grow. And the priestess taught me how to use knowledge, how to use power. And I learned in my therapy that power's on the inside. I would always look external for my power. Like if I give you power, it'll come to me. No. Power is on the inside. So I learned that for self-esteem, that we have all the power we need in there. And one big thing is our intuition. Our intuition knows, but we don't know how we know. But you know how you say, just do it, and this is it. And I would trust myself that way. And I taught intuition classes about how to really key in on that intuition, because that's how I did therapy. I did therapy through intuition. My insides would say, okay, ask them this question. Okay, say this. And I would do it. But I never knew that nobody else ever used their intuition. They were using something else. But I was using the intuition and it was being right to me. So part of my job was to teach that intuition, how to believe in the gut. And it's a process. Intuition training is a process. So, one thing you could do for your intuition is you could have a book of hunches. You can have a diary, and you can put what your hunches are. You can also put what your dreams are, because dreams are important too. And I think that with the intuition, we know a lot of things that we don't think we know, but we know it. And, and then my friend would say, well, we have to remember what we've forgotten, that we are of the intuition. And, we got to remember that again. And I would always say, when I had something interesting, I would say, hey, you want to hear something weird? And it would always be a spiritual thing. And I'm like, I just noticed. So I think that we can program ourselves. It's like a muscle. We can have them, and we can, work the muscle, like take two different paths. Which path are you going to go down? One path's going to help you, one path's not. So you take your mind and you go, okay, let's see what's on this path. And then you come back and you figure out, well, what's this one like? And then you can make decisions. So it's a decision maker. All the corporate people are intuition experts, but they won't tell you that. But I went to an intuition network where most of the people were scientists and people of high caliber intellect. And they were the ones teaching intuition. So I do want to know, it can be worked like a muscle. It can grow, and you can learn more from it. And remember, whenever you think you don't know how you know, but write those down so that you can see what you know, and that you probably have a real gut feeling about everything. And people would always tell me, well, it did tell me, my gut told me not to marry that person, but I did anyway, but maybe it could help you with your decision making, and you won't have to worry about having, no input. You really need the input. You really have to sit with yourself and say, well, what am I doing? And make it a situation where you always come down with decision making because of what also you felt. And that's another thing, that it's important to feel it, and it's important to have fun with it. And there are all kinds of exercises and everything for intuition. I can even tell you, a whole bunch worth. But I just think you got to trust that intuition, trust that inner voice. And that was the priestess. It was the inner voice that said, you're going to get out of here. And then I worked with this one man, and my intuition and my higher self was saying, you don't belong here. And I was like pretending I didn't listen. I didn't hear it. And then it was like, you don't belong here. Get out. We have to move you. And I'd be like, what? I was afraid. I was like, well, why do I have to do it on my own then? They're like, yeah, that's what we're trying to get you to do. And I was like, and my intuition said, you're going to write a book long before the man you're working for is going to write a book, if he even ever does. So you got more in you than you thinking. Don't let him tell you what he's got. Look on your own tree. See what you've got. Don't look at other people's stuff. And I'd also like James Van Praagh when he says, what other people think of you is none of your business. Because for years, I worried what other people thought of me. I worried, did I look okay? Did I feel okay? Did I do this right? And that's a waste of time. Really, if they like us, if they don't, it doesn't matter. We've got to go our path. We've got to go where we have to go and leave who we have to leave, even if it's painful. So that when I was working with that man, I also saw, how I was not getting anything. And I was my leaves were kind of drooping rather than, blooming. So it was time to go. And when I left, it was the best decision I ever could do, because then I got to have my life the way I needed it. And also, I had dreams that if I had written the first book, and I had a dream that if I stayed working with him, that all my books came back undelivered. So even my insights were telling me, you can't go back there, because then you can't be your own identity. And so for many years, the intuition helped me to believe in myself, to trust my hunches and to work with them. And also had a whole bunch of beautiful colleagues who also believed in intuition training. It was out in California, but some came from the Midwest, some came from other places. And if you could ever think of a group you might want to join, it would be an intuition group, because it teaches you to know what's in there, and also to trust what your instincts are feeling. And again, I do therapy by my intuition. I always have, and it's never done me wrong. So what this teaches me, little Karen and the Egyptian priestesses, we have a lot of power inside ourselves, and we can choose how we use it, when we use it, and who we use it with. And I always try to say, how would another person feel? And then be empathic. I try to put myself in other people's places and think, that must have been hard for them. And try to have empathy, because without empathy, we really can't grow. And it's the biggest thing that we need. I'm also an empath, which means that I get other people's stuff. All of a sudden, I'm feeling really bad. And I'm like, is this me? Or is this what I'm picking up from other people? So I want you to know, be aware of the energy that's around you. If the energy is kind of blah or negative, you need to ask, what the heck's going on? And I also believe that there's something called vampires who suck out the energy from you. Judith Orloff wrote a book about, being an empath and how important it is, and also how other people's energy gets in you and sucks you dry. So if you ever feel like when you're with somebody and you leave them and you feel exhausted, I want you to know that what you could do is, we call it etheric cords. like somebody has a cord in your back and then you feel drained. So what you can do is take a big scissors in your mind and go to your back and cut those etheric cords. Cut them so that they are not going to continue with you. And remember, people have said to me, if you're going to put your energy out there, I'm going to take it. And I was surprised the person was so honest that they told the truth, that people will take it. So protect your energy. I shield myself. I try to ground myself into the ground, taking the energy to the center of the earth, pretending I have roots. And I also choose to use the golden light of the heaven and bring that down. Or I try to do Mother Mary and the white light of the Holy Spirit around me. So I want you to know there are people out there that can also suck you blind and they can hurt you. And I will not allow that. And I learned to set like a shield around me so that this way I can protect myself. Otherwise, if people can get inside your energy, they can hurt you. So you want to make sure that you're kind, but that you're not wide open. So be careful. Shield yourself, especially around here, and also cut those cords. I call it the snip method. Like if anything's attached to you and you don't want it there, snip, snip, snip. And you'd be surprised. And I also tell people that there's a vacuum at the bottom of your spine, and that you can vacuum out all the chakras, all those energy centers in our spine. You can clean them and get all the negative out of them, because sometimes people bring it to you, or it's your own stuff too. So take the vacuum, go from the bottom of your spine all the way up to your head, and suck out whatever negativity is, whatever stuff's in there, suck it out, and then blow up the bag. And then that's a way. So with the grounding, with the surrounding, with the protecting, you have to realize that when you give to people, it is draining, and you're going to need to do some self-care. So the priestess always did self-care and always had her own little workouts, walks, whatever she did, and take care of herself. And she came to know that we have to take care of ourselves because other people might not treat us so well. And that's sad to say, but we try to always be in the light of positivity. We always try to be in that universal light. And I always think the universe has your back. Actually, that's a book. It's called The Universe Has Your Back. For many years, I always was thinking the universe is my friend. And so remember, the universe has your back. You're not alone out there. And again, it's always, you're never alone. I was always alone. I was always alone talking to angels. When I was in, grade school, I'd have some angels around me, and I would just like put them in a circle, and they'd clap for me and go, yay. And I'd go, yay, because I didn't have any people to do it. And my neighbors were really nice people, and they helped me. The lady, actually, this is my neighbor, a picture of like my neighbor. She was like an angel to me, and I used it for the cover, but that's the old cover. I'm sorry, that's the cover for the other book. But I think it's important to know that other people can help you, and they were earth angels to me. They told me I could go to college. They told me I could go for free. They told me that, I could come and work at their store and, eat dinner with them sometimes. It was really lovely the way that they helped me. And so I want to encourage people, if people don't seem to have a family, or if their families aren't supportive, you could try to befriend that person. I had somebody whose mother was passing, and she was 99. And I would let her come to my house and do laundry. And that was helpful to her because she hardly could get out of the house with her mom so sick. And so she'd come, and I'd give her some snacks. We'd have fun. We'd watch TV, and then she'd go back home. So try to give people something back if you can, and if it's something that you want to do. So I try to do positives for people. So in all of being a priestess in real life, is that you get to have the experience of joy. And again, I think my whole life has been an experience on how to create joy, how to create happiness. I didn't even know how happy I was until I started talking about it. But I'm here for the long haul. And I told God, you're not taking me anytime soon. But remember, little Karen grew up. She grew up strong. She grew up good. And now she's helping other people. And God's with me. And so I have my necessary, and I have an enormously kind husband who I wouldn't be here without. He is an amazing person. And without him, I don't know who I'd be. So I just want to thank God for all the blessings and all the gratitude that my whole recovery and healing is. And I want to offer that to you too, every one of you out there, that you too think of the gratitude. Also write a gratitude list, put it in a book, focus on what you are getting, not what you're not getting. So in gratitude, we raise our vibration. We allow different levels of thinking. And I am always an intellectual at some point, knowing that we can't always figure out everything, but we sure can use our heart, our soul, and our brain, and our people, and our power. So live in your power and do it with pleasure, and allow yourself to make your life as happy as you want to be. And if you need any prayers, I'd be more than happy to say some for everybody here. God, please bless everybody, give them what they need to grow, and accept that they can accept themselves. It's better to love yourself. So accept and love. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Karen. Oh, wow. Again, you know how to you touch the heart and the soul. So much inspiration and so many wise nuggets in there, so much wisdom and so much, listening to you is like a therapy session in itself. It's a self-help. It's a self-help interview. That's okay. Amazing.
I don't mind.
Amazing. Just amazing. Karen, where can people find you and where can people find your book?
Okay, this book is Little Karen and the Egyptian Priestess. It's on Amazon. I know you can get ones that have already been used, so you don't have to get a new one if you don't want to. It's a good read. It's fun, and it's also uplifting. And just know that you could also call 708-352-6587. That's my voicemail. And I also have spiritcoachkaren.com. So I'm all about the spirit, and I'm all about love. And I want to thank Michelle, a beautiful human being, kind, caring, and genuine as well. And I want to thank you for your lovely opportunity. And so God bless.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. And thank you for being on the show. And we look forward to having you back very soon.
Thank you so much. God bless. Bye.
To view the show notes, head over to themediumstable.com.au. If you want to watch these episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, The Medium's Table Podcast.